What's up, guys? It's Chuck West of CW Brand Solutions. We are about to dive into one of my favorite subjects, but a subject that doesn't seem to be talked about a ton: color. Color is a very integral part of graphic design. Color is what you use to establish a mood in the design that you're making, in the compositions that you're making. So what are the different moods that we can evoke from different colors? Well, we're going to dive right into that, see what we get, using a photo of one of my favorite hip-hop artists. Let's go. All right, so here we see a picture of one of my favorite hip-hop artists, Del the Funky Homo Sapien, who you may remember from the song Clint Eastwood by the Gorillaz back in the day. You also may know him as the front runner for Hieroglyphics, the hip-hop crew from Oakland, California. You also may know him as the MC for the crew Deltron 3030. We're going to show you how color can really affect this image. Just by adding a little slash of color can change the mood of the image entirely. Before we start adding in color, let's start by talking about the absence of color. Black and white. Now, there's a really good book on art direction called Art Direction Explained at Last that says that black and white photography really expresses an image as a moment in time versus the here and now. In other words, if you or I take a picture on our iPhone, right? And it's in color, and there's been no filter, no Instagram filter, no photoshopping, no editing, no nothing. That was a moment of here and now. But when we take the color out of things, when we desaturate everything, just black and white, we look at it as a moment in time. We're not thinking about necessarily any energy that's been overlaid over the image. We're just looking at this piece of history. So let's take this piece of history, this very cool, confident piece of history, judging by, you can see by the expression on Del's face, as well as those cool glasses, that he's in a very confident mood. But let's add a little bit more energy to the mood, shall we? Now, we've added red, a slash of red through the photo. What does red communicate? When we think of red, we think of energy, we think of blood, we think of aggression, we think of hunger sometimes. If you think about logos or brands like McDonald's, Dairy Queen, Pizza Hut, they use red. And we get this vibe that says, Dale's ready to go in. Whatever he's looking at, he's ready to attack it. Not necessarily with anger, even though red can express a bit of anger as well. But let's think about back in the days when we were hunter-gatherers, right? We had to have a sense of aggression. We were going to kill our food. And of course, the food would bleed. We had to get the blood out and all that. So it's really no wonder that we use the color red to express a little bit more of aggressiveness, a little bit of energy, that oomph, ready to go in, okay? Now let's change the mood entirely. Now we have a very deep blue. Now, blue, this shade of blue, can be associated with royalty. We have a royal blue, a bit of sophistication, which is why a lot of businesses use the color blue for their logos. But let's take that blue and replace it with a lighter shade of blue. This is a blue that we call cyan. You see how that blue is a little bit more relaxed, a bit lighter. Now, this kind of light, cool, relaxed blue, you can see it in John Coltrane's album cover for Blue Train. So it's very chill, you know, Coltrane being the jazz master that he was. So when we're cool and calm, what else are we communicating? Think of it this way. When we see somebody and we feel calm and cool, what does that mean? We can trust the person. When somebody sees red, we know There's about to be some aggression. There's about to be a fight, an altercation, blood. But when we see this relaxed blue, this cyan, there's a bit more trust going on. It's almost as though Dell is more trusting of what he sees. He's not going to attack it like he was with the red, but he's just in that cool, calm state of mind. All right? Now let's go on. Okay, now we got yellow. Now what kind of things do we think about when we think of the color yellow? The sun, sunlight, so some energy, but not quite like red because we're not getting aggressive. But we are feeling energized, that brightness. There can be a bit of happiness with the sun. Interestingly enough, studies show that the countries that receive the least amount of sunlight throughout the year show the highest signs of depression in people. So that yellow can be that happiness, which is the opposite of depression, right? Energy, happiness, light. So we've gone through the primary colors. Let's go through the secondary colors. Now we're using orange. Now with orange, we're still warm, still energetic, but we're not as aggressive as the red. We're not as chipper, happy as the yellow. We're just more of a warm, inviting, not cool, but warm and relaxed. Almost like when Dell is embracing whatever he's looking at. That's that orange vibe. To green. Now when we think of green, we think of what? Trees, energy. Some people call it vitality. Sometimes we think of money, although in this case, with this shade of green, it's a lot more about energy and vitality and life than it is about dollars and wealth. Nature. Now, you remember the royal blue. But royal blue isn't the only color connected to royalty. We also have the color purple. Purple is a very royal color, very sophisticated, related to a lot of classier brands, things that cost more, things that express more of a value, high class kind of vibe. Dell's looking with class, with royalty. There's a different kind of vibe. Now we talked about black and white before, okay? So with things like the color black, matter of fact, let's work with the color black for just a moment. I want to show you black on its own just so you get a better idea. Okay. Now with black, we also think of sophistication. Now in Western cultures, black can also be related to death. Now, we're not thinking death when we look at this picture here. We're thinking of this moment in time in which Dell was looking at whatever he was looking at and becoming intrigued. Although interestingly enough, this color is black, the picture is black and white. In Eastern cultures, white is the color of death. And black is a more classy, positive color. But yeah, just being able to mess around with different colors to give different vibes, different moods. What kind of moods can you add to your photography and to your designs when you put in different blends of color? Something to think about. Well, thanks again for watching. I'm Chuck West of CW Brand Solutions. Hope that dive into color helped, seeing what we can do with our designs, and we're going to keep on. Take care.